All right, let's hop into it.
Hey, Cole.
Got the whole squad here today.
Yeah.
What's up, gentlemen?
Hey, buddy.
What's going on?
I love
Two of
it.
my favorites in one room, all in one call.
Yeah,
I know.
we don't
Look what we pulled together here.
have a fireplace back there. Is that gonna be a problem? This is as homey as we can make it look.
No,
though.
we're still working on ours as well.
Okay. For the
You
fire.
got that Netflix like
All right.
streaming in the back? Come on, guys.
Next time we'll get like a candle and burn it on the desk right here.
That's actually not a bad idea. Just have a candle going.
Uh,
But yeah. So for our audience today, what we're doing here is a OpenSpace Fireside chat with Polk Mechanical. We started doing these really just we have awesome customers like Polk, and we just really want to give them the platform to talk about technology, what they're doing with OpenSpace. But a group like Polk has done an incredible job really pushing on the tech front. So we really want to give them the platform today to talk about what they're doing. And before we start off, we want to introduce who OpenSpace is. So for anybody that hasn't heard of us before, we are a automated reality capture system. So think putting a 360 camera like this on your hard hat and simply in the app click in your starting point and walk, and that's it. And this camera is going to capture a 360 photo every half a second, and the AI computer vision will automatically stitch all that information together to create what we like to call like a Google Street-like view environment, which you'll be able to see from Jonah and Ben today, who will show some of their projects. But OpenSpace, the company started in 2017. Our customers have been incredible and are capturing like crazy. We have over 15 billion square feet captured. We're in 22,000 projects across the world in 91 different countries and have over, I believe now it looks like 128,000 users. So, this is our second fireside chat, but it looks like we have a lot to go with all the users that we have, and excited to talk with these guys today. So I want to give Polk Mechanical the mic and let you guys introduce yourselves. And Polk Mechanical.
Yeah. Hey, guys. I'll go first. I'm Ben Brown. I've been at Polk Mechanical for 10 years. I'm the director of a virtual design construction group. So really support the guys who do BIM coordination, detailing shop drawings, spool drawings for a fab shop, but also help support our construction technology team. So of that team, we have about 5 guys dedicated to that. Some are more on the software side, some are more on the applied technology side. And that's where Jonah comes in, is heading that up.
Hey guys, I'm Jonah Walton. I've been with Polk now for 2 years in the VDC group as a construction technologist. So like Ben said, I kind of support that applied technology side of things. So all of our operations field facing technology, we're kind of like an extension of both the VDC group and the IT group to facilitate software for those teams.
Nice. And actually, real quick, Cole, there's one more person in here. Cole, for anybody that hasn't met Cole yet, he works very closely with Polk and oversees the South Central area of the United States. So anybody in that general area, Cole is your expert and good person to talk to on OpenSpace and technology. So Jonah, Ben, tell us more about one of the things that excites me the most working with you guys. One, we've been working together almost for like 2 years. You were one of Cole and I's first customers, and I think something that really stands out with you guys is how much you're really pushing technology and figuring out ways to innovate the project, make it work better, with the GC and other trades. So tell us more about your strategy for 2023 on the technology front, what you guys are thinking.
Yeah, sure. Before we dive into that, I'll just hit Polk real quick at a high level so everyone knows kind of what company we are, right? So we're a mechanical and plumbing subcontractor. We're in the DFW area, located in Arlington, right in between Dallas-Fort Worth. We last year did $228 million all combined. We have a commercial group, an industrial group, and a service group. And most of that revenue comes from our commercial group, doing work in healthcare market, mission critical market, data centers, some like high rise, some hospitality work, some hotels, but we stay pretty busy. We've been around 20 years. We've grown from like 30 million our first year to 228 this year, and currently have 650 employees total, including field, with about 125 in the office staff supporting those guys out there. Just at a high level, we're a company that's based on partnerships. Our core values are kind of our tagline is built on partnerships, built for performance. Some of the things we focus on are how do we make, every customer repeat business, right? How do we establish customers for life? How do we use technology to do that, right? And how do we use technology to elevate our performance? The tech side of things is where me and Jonah get really passionate about. So, we get to work directly with our executive team on how do we live out our values and how do we make technology a focus of doing that. So OpenSpace was a great fit for us. I'll talk about how it's partnerships and performance at Polk. It's just part of our core strategy. But then looking at 23, right? So some of the major tech focuses we have, initiatives we have to get off the ground this year. I'm going to start with some that are more behind the scenes, more VDC, kind of that side of our token. And then Jonah is going to take over some things that are really more field facing stuff we want the field to get their hands around, PMs to get their hands around, more things that help elevate operations. So from my end, our big focus in VDC this year is how do we elevate the data in our models? So I don't know who's on, but if anyone's on here that's in the role of creating models or creating shop drawings for fabrication or install, right? We have a ton of great data behind there. So how do we unlock that to do things that are more like conceptual estimating, more tracking productivity, more seeing if guys are getting the work done in the time we need to get it done, right? And we have that ability, but there's a real trick to unlocking that and using that to where it's actually valuable for superintendents and project managers. So our focus on that side this year is that, and OpenSpace plays a role in that. We'll probably connect that back later. But want Jonah to talk more about the field applied technology that he's working on this year.
Yeah. So on the operations field side of things, we're definitely pushing pretty hard right now, going completely cloud-based for those users. So kind of in the process of transitioning from like a local server workflow with like a storage drive everyone gets on the VPN to work on their Excel files, to move into specifically Procore as a project management platform, and then trying to bring the rest of our software stack integrated into that, or at least at the minimum, guys be able to access that via a web browser or an app on their phone. That's huge. Again, pushing adoption of those tools. So as we're like rolling those tools out, we're probably about a year and a half into our Procore implementation. Or a year and a few months. So continuing to drive that, and OpenSpace being software that complements that and complements what we're trying to do there, which we'll also circle back around to in a little bit. And then on the OpenSpace side of things specifically, we've got a couple large hospital projects coming up this year, and a high-rise residential project that were really multi-year projects we're wanting to leverage OpenSpace on. Most of our work that we've used OpenSpace on has been less than a year, so here's an opportunity for us to see what that timeline looks like over 2-3 years on a serious major project.
Yeah, specifically it's the biggest job we've ever done today. It's just a $52 million contract for one job, just the mechanical and plumbing side, and it's located about 2.5 hours from our home office. So we've got distance to overcome. We've got the size of the site being logistics. Excited to really leverage OpenSpace at a higher level and build a team out there that's going to be able to use that tool, right? And it's going to be a great litmus test for a job that size and how we can leverage OpenSpace across multiple years. And as Jonah mentioned, you guys let in how tech focused Polk is. And yeah, we want to be, but just being honest, like we all face the same challenges and the struggles of adoption and getting tech to the field and overcoming the way we've done things in the past that have worked. And now we're trying to do things new. And just we're right in the middle of that. So don't take it like Polk some expert. We are living the challenge of trying to move toward cloud-based and move toward more advanced tech, just like everyone else is. So
well, on that point, what is Polk doing differently to get that adoption from the field team? And how has the adoption been with a group like OpenSpace?
You can hit OpenSpace first.
OpenSpace adoption specifically with our field, it has been a home run. I'm probably going to kind of get a little ahead of myself here and talk about like why we chose OpenSpace specifically. As we've used OpenSpace, we have more and more reasons why we continue to want to use OpenSpace. But originally, when we were taking a look at reality capture software, we don't have the resources to have an office type personnel on site to do these captures. We don't have a dedicated guy doing captures on site. We need to be able to train multiple people. One guy may be doing it this week, the next guy may be doing, or a different person may be doing it the next week, doing those captures. So for us, it was like ease of use and speed. So it's got to be as low impact on these guys in the field. It's got to be easy enough that a guy that only has a smartphone through the company and for work stuff, that we can train him effectively in, a half day on the software. So we chose OpenSpace because of it's quick and easy, and it's easy for the guys in the field. All of this software is pretty easy for us in the VDC group. We're in Autodesk software, AutoCAD, all of that. It's like a web app is pretty easy for us to figure out. But a guy that uses a couple apps on his phone to like email stuff and look at drawings, he doesn't want a complex UI or something that's going to take him an hour to get set up every time. He just wants to be able to open the app, do what he needs to do, and close it. And that's really like where OpenSpace originally sold us on the usage. So that's one of the best ways to get adoption in the field, is to basically find out what those needs are and limit it, like pare down what you need. We tend to see all this software that's super flashy. We want to use this. You get an awesome sales pitch, but sometimes you need to just identify what the problem is, make sure that the same problem that we are looking at it, the same way the guys in the field are looking at it, make sure we're all in alignment, and then find a solution that fits that problem without bringing a lot of extra baggage on.
Yeah, that's huge. And that's a focal point. We've talked about since the beginning. It's like, how can we continue making this product very field friendly and user friendly? Because that's the key piece at the end of the day, right? It's like, if the data is not captured in the field, the solution can't be used.
It's one of those that, just to piggyback on what Jonah said, the ease of capture, the passive nature of the capture was the big selling point. We knew there was multiple reasons we thought reality capture was something we needed to get into, get ahead of the curve on something that we thought was going to kind of blow up in construction about 3 years ago. And the first path we went down there, it just wasn't scalable, even though it seemed easy. Then we met you guys, right? And that's where it flipped us on our heads of like a couple demos, and it was like, all right, we're sold. Let's do this, because we think this is passive enough that we're not burdening guys that are already busy just trying to get their job done. We specifically support OpenSpace from the contact team and BDC with just a couple of resources. Jonah and Chris are there. They never mind going to help train someone up. They can get hardware to a site. We have now 6 rigs that we've built.
We have about 12 cameras.
12 cameras total. Because the hardware cost is so low impact as well, right? We're, just be honest, we're just job costing those. Just buy them out of the job budget and expense report them for a few $100. We get them out there. We make sure someone knows what they're doing. We're there for support. Any contact you roll out, if you think you're going to teach a foreman in a training seminar and then walk away, you won't have good results, right? So it's like, we are touching base. Hey, Brian, do you need me to come out there and walk you through this again? Hey, maybe they can't get to a walk. We can send Chris out there, right? So it's all this feeling of like, we're asking you to do it, but we're not leaving you on an island. We're here, and we can tell you why it's important to the organization, and we can tell you, and we can teach you how to do it. And so it just takes a little bit to get to that tipping point to where guys don't need help anymore. But if you dive in with like your arms around them, they just take off and do better. And that's what we've seen. So
yeah, 100%. You also said something in there about a few years ago, you wanted to get into reality capture. Like, that was important for Polk. Can you tell us more why, and why reality capture is important in construction?
Yeah. So, it was technology that we thought was going to, like I said, boom and take off. And it was not in its infancy. It had always been there, but 360 photo documentation was relatively new then, or getting new into construction. So just looking ahead, like, there's so many benefits. So site documentation for almost the insurance or CYA purposes is a big deal. Yeah. We were thinking, man, we can use this for billing backup. So when we're talking about percent complete, all these reasons you want to document. And then the more we thought, well, if we have documentation on a weekly basis, what else does that allow us to do? Could we then do almost a virtual QC for my guys, for the VDC world? How can we get our eyes on a site problem when we get a phone call from a superintendent? How do we then, when we then see what it looks like out there without him having to email us pictures or photos? How can we communicate around an issue on a single platform? How can we, get better visibility to job site status? Staffing is an issue for almost everyone right now. We got good PMs, but we don't have enough of them, and we need more of them. So when you got guys that are managing 12 jobs and some of them are 2 hours away, they can't make a visit every week, but this allows them to at least check in, and get eyes on a job or get a call from supervision, be able to get out there and get a look at it without having to leave. That's just some of the reasons we thought it was important. And then for me, like future state tracking, I just believe that down the road, site documentation is going to allow us to somehow translate that into status tracking of what's installed. We'll talk a little bit more about track and what you guys are doing with that and where we believe that's going to go. But just trying to be, what we don't want to do is in 3 years, find out that reality capture is really important for certain things. And it's a real, awesome thing to be doing because of all these leverage advantages, and then be joining that party in 2026. Right. We wanted to join the party in 2020 and be pros by 2026, when you can leverage all kinds of things that may not even exist yet on the software side, because you've got this ability to document a site on a weekly basis. And our field teams just do that like their bread and butter. That's just part of their job, right? Yeah. So we want to spin that dynamic like, this isn't cool new tech. This is just what we do. And we believe that the software side will follow suit and provide some leverage advantages that we don't even really have visibility to yet, but we think are coming. So that's kind of my high level answer.
Yeah, one of the probably most exciting use cases I see is that labor constraint, and it's, someone was telling me this other day. It's like, before I can physically get to my sites, maybe like 3 within a week. And like you're saying, like your guys are overseeing 12 projects.
Mm-hmm.
You get to 3 in a week, like it's not like enough.
Yeah,
and
the productivity loss of driving and spending 2 hours on a walk.
It's crazy.
It's great. And we want to be present. We want our PMs to be out there looking at stuff. Like that's part of their job. But let's be honest, 3 site visits a week for 4 hours. And then say you've lost, like they're just working the weekends to caught up on emails. Yeah. So how can we streamline a little bit of that, right? How do we make it a little bit more feasible for them to be more engaged? And said, that's one thing we're definitely trying to use it for.
I love that. No, I love it. Yeah, so tell me more about the projects you're using OpenSpace on. I'd love to dive
this would be a great time to screen share and kind of get involved with one of our, I would say one of our best use case studies of one that we've documented tip to tail, underground to where we're at now. So I'm going to share my screen real quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
One.
Yeah, so for the attendees, what we're going to do is hop into one of Polk's projects. This is super exciting. So they're giving us, we're going to dive in to see what like the end product looks like. So when your team does your typical walk, which is like ordering an Uber, actually, Ben, Jonah, you guys want to explain like what you're getting like after you do that walk and what we're looking at here?
Yeah, sure. I'll leave in a little bit and turn it over to Jonah. So what you're looking at is this job, just to explain the job. It's a church. It's a mid-sized job for us. It's $2.5 million mechanical and plumbing scope. So it's not small. It's not too big. It's a 2-level building with a roof. And we've walked this job, like I said, from underground installation up to right now. We've set units on the roof. We're about 75% on mechanical overhead roughing and in-wall roughing on level 1, and probably 50 to 60% on level 2. So right in the middle of construction right now in March. So it's a great one to show, but I'll let Jonah then lead in about like what this map is and what the green lines on here mean.
Yeah, I love talking about this. I probably explain this 3 times a week to people at Polk. But kind of just like walking through these key maps end up being kind of like the core of setting up your walk and getting started on this. So as you connect to the camera on your phone, and you just basically tell it where you're starting. So right here on this dot, this is probably where Chris, our VDC field engineer, did this walk. So he stood right here in this doorway, clicked on that key map on his phone, pressed start, and then he dropped his phone in his pocket and didn't look at it again. And then what you're seeing here is where he walked through the project. So the software we previously used for reality capture, you would drop pins and stop and do individual photos at different spots, which a floor plan this size would have taken about 2.5 to 3 hours to capture properly.
Yeah, probably 3 hours to do it with what we were using 4 years ago.
Yeah, with this, I think Chris is doing these walks. His total on-site time from pulling up in the truck to leaving is about 45 minutes.
And that's walking a 3-level building, 2 levels and a roof, walking in the rooms, circling the rooms. Yeah, he's in an hour in and out, right? We have this last walk, we helped Chris support it, but you think for supervision, asking them to spend an extra 40 minutes on Friday to do this site capture once a week. Sure, no one wants more work, but this just is so passive in nature. I mean, you want your supers and foremen making that job walk anyway. So this is just a great, tool for that. So yeah, let's jump in. And this is when Josh said Google Street View, this is what we meant. It is a walk point to point. You're following the path. You can see in your legend where you're looking, kind of on your key plan, but you can just see all of our roughing in this area, which isn't a lot up in this lobby, but we'll get into some pretty dense rooms, which is awesome. Let's look at a restroom. Yep.
The battery starting to be roughed in here. This is all cool. Where we really start to ramp this up and leverage it when we're looking at this for quality is when we get to open up this little tool on the right here and bring up OpenSpace BIM Compare. And I feel like this is where we start. So whenever anyone in our organization opens up OpenSpace, they open up the walk and then they open up the BIM model. It's like these two things go hand in hand for us.
Yeah, that's part of this, right? You've got project managers, executives, you've got field supervision. They are not Navisworks pros. They don't work in Navisworks day in, day out like we do, right? But the Google Street View component mirrors into the BIM model viewer. That to me is the coolest thing. So as you're just panning around, you want to look up at your overhead rough end. Well, you can check it out right here. So bam, there's our 3-pipe rack. I mean, you can hone in to literally where the hangers are. There's our 3-pipe rack with that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You can see this stub up, right? So not done here yet. That's a vent stub up. We're going to put a test C on it. We're going to pressure test it. They're going to bring this up in the wall and tile this in. You've got our duct there popping through the floor, right? We haven't put a grill on it, but we've got our protective tape on. Really cool stuff. And as you move, right, I'm panning, but it doesn't matter where you move. So say you want to jump all the way over to this corridor. Let's jump to the corridor and you're going to get the same workflow. So you look up in the overhead, follow it around, and you're looking at our water mains there. So there they are. You can even see, so if I'm zooming in, you've got, I'll click over here. Blue is our cold water main, uninsulated on this job. You can see your hot water mains, that wrap on it, it's insulated. And you can see on this side, the dark red, that's fire sprinkler. So it's hard to see, but you see that black steel pipe right here? That's the fire sprinkler line. So really, that's where we get into really high quality QA, QC, is like, what's going on? Is there an issue? Superintendent calls, hey, we literally can't get this duct installed because there's something in our way. We take a look here first. Is everyone where they're supposed to be? This job was a great example. For the general contractor, we ran the BIM coordination process. So we were super heavily involved in creating this model, working with fire and electrical, working with the GC to make sure everyone had a place for their install. And then this is just a QC tie back to that. So for us, we're not alone in this. We're a partner with the GC. This may be our hub, but we don't mind having the GC involved. We want to show them what we're doing. We want to leverage this as a team, as a partner. And that's just some of the cool ways we're doing this. But to me, the navigation of kind of combining the Google Street View as a way to navigate, which is super user friendly, but then tying it to the model is just incredible. So
yeah, that's one of the challenges we typically hear is BIM models are hard to navigate and they're not being as adopted as quick as they like. Are you finding that with this side by side, more of your company is adopting using the model by being able to navigate the left side?
Yeah, so we've seen that there's more, I guess, traction, you could say, in using the model to look at things when it's on OpenSpace. So as opposed to just putting them in a Navisworks model or a model viewer, web-based model viewer, there's more comfortability in saying, hey, you know what I want to look at? I want to go look at this. I want to go look in the sanctuary right here. And I want to look this way. And I want to look right over here. So I'm going to turn, minimize, and look up and say, okay, where are we at here? Okay, well, we got this duct hung behind the stage, right? And you want to see where that big duct is. Okay. It's right here. We're looking good. It's where we penetrate through the stud wall, right? So you can see the wall. Another thing we want to note, now, y'all, this is a viewer built on Forge. The way this model looks is totally configured by you as a customer, like as Polk. We got to keep what we normally build out for our Navisworks color profiles and the way we want visuals. We wanted the stud shown, but not the sheetrock. We want these ways for it to look the best, and you have full control over that as an end user, which is awesome. It's not like OpenSpace is telling you, hey, it has to be a certain way. This is the model we put in. You guys work with it and align it, and then it's just moving through, checking it out. So.
I think too, it provides a lot of context for guys on site. So if you working on site every day, what this site looks like, and then you go look at the BIM model. Sometimes it can be hard to really visualize those things side by side, and kind of understand conceptually in space. I think the OpenSpace viewer, because they're able to really tie you see people go out with the iPads and look at the models on site and they're moving around with it like that. It's that same level of being in the space, but on a desktop, that our guys on site can access, our guys in the office can access, a PM or VDC guy working from home can access. I feel like it's a really good job of tying the BIM model to the idea of being in that space.
Yeah. Another use case is record documentation, right? So a lot of this job went in perfectly, but I'm looking here and I can see that we've got our P-trap roughed in right where we thought it would go, literally, perfect. But the field took it down. The field wrapped it around the unit, right? So this is one of those, okay, why'd they do that? Was there an issue or conflict? Was it just a preference thing? How do we in VDC learn why they did it this way? And then more importantly, how do we update this from a record drawing set and a record model for our customer? So we're going to get a red line from the field probably. Well, they may mark this up, but it's just going to be a really crude, well, we just routed this over here and down, good luck, right? And they may not even do level 2. We're able to literally okay, they made a change here. As we're doing as-built in 3 or 4 months, we can hop in a little bit, this is exactly what they did, right? And then it's a learning moment. Then it's if there was a cost impact, which there probably wasn't here, but if there was a change that's a cost impact, and then we find out it was, because of some steel that was added that wasn't, that came in late, we can then potentially use that as change order leverage, right? That's not what we're about, but it's one of those, the documentation you get from this can be a leveraged value. Whereas in this P-trap, we're dropping, right where we should be dropping. So all is well in the world. Just little things like that don't seem like a big deal. You can really get a lot of value from this tool from it.
Is your team, that example you just gave, and you notice something that could potentially come back in the future, right? Is your team using the field notes to document that specific point and reference what they're seeing so they could easily look at a field note report in the future to find?
So not at the moment. Right now on the Procore side of things, and I said I was going to circle around to this, on the Procore side of things, we're kind of gearing up to work out a quality assurance, quality control plan, something we can kind of implement with Procore and scale across the organization. Field Notes has a really, really great integration with Procore observations. So whether you're using Procore, I think y'all support Autodesk Construction Cloud, or 2 other PM cloud-based tools. Our idea kind of with that is we can take one guy who's maybe a very skilled tradesman in plumbing or a very skilled sheet metal guy. He can be looking through these projects, through multiple projects in a day. He doesn't have to drive out and go physically walk the site. He could do his quality walk here. If he sees something, instead of having to screenshot, start typing up an email, getting all of his documentation together, he can pop a field note on here, tie it to a Procore observation, and then push that straight to Procore and notify the team through the same platform that they get notified for everything else through.
Can you show the attendees what a field note is? Can you drop a field note just to show them how easy it is if you do spot something?
All right,
Go
I'll
back to
actually
the
go up to the roof and tell you
This is
that.
the back side of this one. I'll back up a little bit.
Yeah, so an example of that, build note, just pressing that plus button up there, hitting this right here. You can kind of adjust the position again or click next. Then is not, we do not have this project connected with Procore, or you would see a little Procore icon up here at the top. But yeah, so with this build note, you get like that 2D image of like a square shaped image, like a regular picture right here of this. You get this tie to the drawings of where it was at. You can use status, and these are customizable now. Description, you can even mark up here on the photo. So we could do that. Type up, you know, change rally. We won't create a due date for this, but this is kind of how I would run through training somebody on it in the field. Click save, boom. It is up here where we can see. Here's the push to Procore. So we can set here, we can link this to an RFI, we can link it to an observation. We can tie this into our existing workflows, which is a big, like, as we're in 2023, as we're going to these cloud-based platforms, it's really about bringing it all into a central location, having a central repository for information for the project. And all of our OpenSpace with the embedded experience for OpenSpace and Procore, and the link back with field notes, all of that information stays tied in with our Procore projects. So it's like one platform they're accessing OpenSpace through.
Yeah,
That's huge.
another way,
With
I
these
think the
field
way we
notes,
see
how do
leveraging
you-
it pretty quick.
Go ahead,
is
Ben.
when- Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
We're asking our PMs to do, I think, 4 safety observations per month. And, you know, before safety observation Procore, you'd have to be on site to do it, to document something on site. This would allow them to make a safety observation using OpenSpace, which is pretty cool. So, you know, like I said, not that I'm trying to devalue safety, but that you could potentially go around and be like, identify a hazard or a safe activity based on this screenshot imagery, and then flag that and create your safety observation without having to make your job site visit. Like I said, the job site visit is probably part of the impetus of doing that, but just as a way to, like, you know, for those guys who get super covered up, who have multiple jobs they need to hit, you know, this is a way to make that a little bit easier to get eyes on the site.
Yeah, if they can't make it out there. Where else do you see these field notes really helping your team?
Jonah? What's that?
Field notes, how they can help our team.
It's for the communication, the tie back. So whenever they get this field note pushed to them in Procore, they're able to go back to it, like click back into OpenSpace through that. But it's tying it to this image and this picture. So instead of like snapping a picture on your phone and texting it to somebody, or sending it in an email that eventually gets like put in some random folder in your email client, or like the text gets deleted, somebody deletes the picture off the phone. This is in somewhere where everyone has access to it. It's saved. It's not going to be deleted. It's not going anywhere. It can be tracked. You can see, we can update statuses on it. If we put this in here for somebody and it doesn't get addressed, like 3 months from now or something, we can circle back around. We have this documentation that can't be edited or altered. We're able to communicate this information out to other people, so not just within our own Procore or our own organization, using this field notes to communicate with like external trade partners or the GC is a good way. Putting some field notes on a walk and putting that walk and field notes in a shared folder and sharing that out with other teams is also like a great way to increase coordination with the field notes.
I love that. You guys have mentioned the GC multiple times. Like, how has OpenSpace helped with the relationship with the GC, the coordination of working with the GC, and even other trades? Can you tell us a little bit more about that experience?
Yeah, we've had some awesome, I mean, using this as a customer facing tool as opposed to just some internal Polk only tool has been, to me, one of the biggest value adds of this. We've got 2 GCs right now, this project being one of them, and another one we're doing 2 active jobs with. We basically approached them and said, hey, we believe this tool is going to be a value add for the whole team. And we love to be collaborative. We love to have you have this, access it, use it, share it with you, just like you're a partner to us. And both of them thought it was awesome, right? You just show them, and that's really cool. And then beyond that, we're getting buy-in so much from them that they're wanting to help. So now they're wanting to do the walks for us. Hey, we have guys on site right now. We'll start documentation day one. They see how it can value their organization, right? And even though that builder hasn't specifically gone with OpenSpace and inked their agreement and used that on all their jobs, we're like the launching off point for them to get their hands around it, and to teach that project team how it can be valuable to them. And then from a coordination standpoint, both jobs, believe it or not, Polk led the BIM coordination effort. I would consider both these GCs not super tech savvy, like not just super high adoption rate of tech. And so for us, we came on board and they wanted us to run the coordination process, and then to have what we would see as like our finished product, right? Our finished product of this whole building, all the work we did here, to have that not die is a huge deal, because you can do all this work, you can spend all this time, and then no one can look at it. What this allows us to do is have that issue resolution and dispute resolution really quickly and effectively, because it's here on this tool and everyone likes accessing it from here. So it's just a great way to have that tie back to like, is the work being done? Who's at fault? Is everyone working together? Did the plan we make in BIM work the way we wanted it to? And in this job, the results have been, I would say, super impressive on like just watching it going in the field and watching the level of coordination we have take place. Like it's just been really awesome. They don't all go perfect, but down to like the elbows and offsets. This isn't even us. This is a fire sprinklers model right here. Not our sub, not our scope. And they're putting work exactly where they said they put work, which is like why we do the effort, right? And so it's just great to see that. And I think it helps, GCs who may have been leery of the BIM process and leery of technology or not wanting to invest in it. They can see tangible results from this. So we hope that we've made 2 customers a believer. Maybe they're going to be OpenSpace customers in the future. But really, we don't care about that. We're not for sales. We're just wanting to be a partner and make the project better. And when you approach it that way, it builds a lasting relationship with that GC, and they want to get in and get their hands around it and help, which is the best outcome, I think, for us. Because we're going to do this whether they want to play with us or not play with us. We're doing it with or without them. So if you bring them on board, you get them bought in, and then everyone wins. So
yeah, I'm sure your conversations are going much more smoothly with the GC as well, like much less pointing fingers and yelling. Because one of the things OpenSpace does is when your team does captures, the AI and computer vision organizes all this information and timestamps everything automatically. And so let's say your team, there is a dispute that happens a week ago. Can you show, the audience how you would go back a week in time? And you can even look at like, if you're in a certain area that's been captured twice, do you guys have the dual screen where you could show 2 different points in time?
Yeah, I'm going to try to get an area that we've walked so much that we can just do a total. There's a scissor lift here, unfortunately, today, but this will be cool.
While he's doing that, just as a quick example, we had a project that I was going down and doing the OpenSpace walks on, where we had like about $30,000 worth of ductwork that had just been delivered and was staged on concrete slab in the parking lot outside. Captured it on the OpenSpace walk that morning. That afternoon, I got a call from the superintendent who said, "Did you get that ductwork in the parking lot on the OpenSpace walk?" I said, "I did." He goes, "Cool, I need that right now." Another trade partner on site had driven over a significant amount of prefabricated ductwork, but we had it captured. They said it was delivered like that. We were able to pull the capture up and show it all perfectly staged.
So the COA component, that's why we think capture is important. So
how much did that save y'all?
This is a view, right? We're going to watch this corridor evolve a little bit. You can see a couple things here. This is a week ago, a little over a week ago. So we had a walk today, so it's not going to be posted. But the last one was the 7th. This was the one where we had the big freaking, the scissor lift in the way right here.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just go back the week before that, okay, that's the 28th, same location. You go back 2 weeks, the 14th, go back to the 6th. We're going to see some change over time eventually. This area has been done for a long time.
close the BIM Compare and do the side by side.
Okay, you run that one. So
Yeah, so December 27th, way back, we'll walk this side up.
bumped us into the room. If you want to go back a little bit further, go back to like the no, go here to like the.
Oh yeah, this is just mud slab back here now.
Oh.
All right, I'm gonna close this and reopen it so we'll get a good walk on it. Cool. So this is that walkthrough time. And it's breaking. Got to get it a little bit closer than we probably got on these walks.
That you can see, yeah, there we go. Now we're flowing. So we got in the room here. So you can see from November 28th, when there was no slab on grade, to build a wall on us.
They did build a wall on us. And you can kind of navigate separately from these. We're probably kind of, I feel like we're not doing a good service to the time lapse side by side.
Well, you can, if you hit that lock button, you can lock both in. So give us examples of when you would use the split screen. When do you guys find yourself using this part of the feature?
So it's a good tracking metric to kind of go through one sequence of events of construction for, like, if we ever got to a point like an accountability or a liability point, just like the damaged ductwork. For us, billings for like insulation, sub billing. So we don't self-insulate. Guys pay us to do that. This is a great way to tie back. Hey, we're going to bill you all 20%. We've installed everything on level 1. We did all that in April. And we're going to bill you May 1st. We can look back and be like, guys, you literally covered 10% of level 1. We're not going to pay you a 30% billing on your scope of work in May for work you did in April when you didn't do that, right? Just like a GC could hold us accountable, and we could have that as backup proof to say, hey, we actually did this. You can use this as your subs. If you're mechanical, GCs, I mean, there's tons of value for GCs in this, right? We're mechanical, but yeah, we're using that for ways like this to go back and basically time lapse and timestamp. Where were we on this state and when did that change? So
also, if you're a mechanical MEPF contractor, documenting before drywall hang, I feel like that's the easiest no-brainer there. The second drywall goes up, it becomes significantly more tedious to try to get in and check stuff in wall. So if you're doing these walks the day before drywall hang on an area, like, you're going to have that permanent picture of what's behind that drywall when questions come up down the line. So that's something that we pretty heavily emphasize within our capture teams.
I love it.
yeah.
All right,
so
we have
this corridor here.
With 15 minutes left, I wanted to save some time for the real fun stuff. I want you guys to show track.
Oh yeah.
And so want to introduce track. So track is another product of ours. So what you've seen today and what Jonah and Ben have been showing is what we call capture, which is essentially the foundation of OpenSpace. It's a reality capture solution, which you can get the side-by-side view, the side-by-side with BIM, you get the field note features and integrations. On top of that, we have this feature called track, which is automated production tracking of materials installed. And Polk Mechanical has been at the forefront, really, of helping OpenSpace better understand what mechanical companies need from a track perspective, and have been in a lot of meetings with us and helped provide a lot of feedback. And they've been at the forefront of our beta testing on MEP FP. And so, yeah, guys, if you want to show us what you're doing and what value you're seeing out of that, I think this is the exciting stuff.
Yeah, to talk a little bit about
Perfect.
talk about this a little bit. So since I came on at Polk, labor tracking and productivity tracking, tying that back to the model, tying real world conditions back to our like estimate, theoretical progress, all of that, it's been a huge importance. Ben mentioned earlier, we're trying to leverage all this model we have, or all this data we have in the model. This is kind of that last statusing of like, hey, now the item's in the air. We know what our actual true progress is. We spent a lot of time using OpenSpace to support a couple different workflows for tracking that back. What we found is everything we've tried has been so time intensive. Once we got to look at what used to be clear site tracking and now OpenSpace track, it's really been the tool that we feel like it is going to be one of the first tools to close that gap for construction companies. So we can kind of take a look at it, but this is very cool stuff.
Super cool. All right, so just think about this. Our workflow for capture is the same, whether you use track or don't use track. That really doesn't matter. Your OpenSpace walk is the same, and you can derive a ton of value without using track. But for us who really care about, the hardest thing to identify is when work gets done in the field. When's it done? So when does a guy get that pipe in the air? When does he get the duct hung? And then, so if you're thinking about how would you leverage that, right? Like, how can they tell you what? I mean, you could QR code everything you send out there. That would be terrible. How do those guys with just a phone in the field? How do they do this, right? The best way I can say that is like, don't have them do it. Okay, don't have them do that. You don't want them doing that. It's hard enough for them to get their job done and be productive. Much less tell me, well, I've installed the elbow in the ductwork today at 6:51 a.m. Like, don't do that. All right. So the coolest part about this is we do what we've always done, and the data we get back is this right here, and it comes without any effort on our end, which is awesome because we spent so much effort for 2 years trying to track this stuff. So Jonah can show you a little under the hood of what this looks like and how we're tracking.
Yeah, we got 3 of the trackers on here. So we have ductwork, overhead mechanical pipe, and overhead plumbing pipe. What you see here, their OpenSpace track is tracking back against linear feet.
Level 2.
Yeah, this is just level 2. So everything kind of revolves around those like sheets as being your like key plan, your kind of units, your areas.
The data for the footages come from us. So these aren't from contract drawings. These are from our shop drawings. They basically quantified the takeoff of linear feet of duct, pipe, and plumbing as we've intended to install it, not whatever the contract document showed for us.
Yeah. What you see here, we'll say, so we're looking at level 2. This is progress as of 7 days ago. This will be updated later today after our guy finishes his walk, publishes it, and this processes. What we have is we can kind of turn these on and off. We're going to look at just one trade here in a second. So for 2,228 linear feet of duct on this floor, we've installed 1,369 of that. We're 61% roughed in. Okay, what does that mean? Well, we have these pictures here showing these little sections of duct that are on our actual, our what's from our shop drawings. If we want to verify this, we can click in here. And of course, we're going to find, let me turn on the capture track so I can make sure we're getting close. I can click here, see where I'm at, turn back around. Here is that ductwork. So you can see we've got this section right here claimed, all this pass where this tees and splits off.
On that segment.
A little bit issue there. Yeah, so you can see
a lot of times you can click on the joint of duct, and if the image is close enough to it, it will show you what the AI captured for you.
Yeah, that was just
so it's basically going to show you a lot of those. If you click on them, will show you a static image of the joint of duct that it captured. So keep in mind, all this is background activity. You just walk. And typically if you walk on a Monday, by the end of that week, you're going to get tracked to give you a published update of what status is, what footage was installed, right? So it's lagging, right? If we walk on a Monday, we're getting an update on the week before, and that's okay to be about a week lag for us. That's not a huge deal. The deal is it's there, and you can sort by date. So like I said, March billings go in for the month of February. We can do progress as of 2/28. We can then sort, and we can say, what was our billing for level 2 duct, and that allows a PM to basically set up their billings and then have really good documentation on, here are my billings, right? Again, overbilled maybe, but like you're going to have accuracy. You're not going to, if there's a dispute on payment, you have a leg to stand on that's really, really strong, just based on the raw data.
So one of the questions we get asked is like, how accurate is this? What are you seeing on your end on accuracy?
I'll go. So I was I wasn't, so until this job, we had used it a couple times on sheet metal. Well, that's pretty easy because sheet metal stands out like a sore thumb, versus conduit versus sprinkler. But then we have go to our domestic water on level 1, even because I know the mains will be there. Our domestic water on level 1, we have a 2-pipe rack here, side by side, running right by a fire main. Yeah, so that's where I was like, now I'm a believer, because it not only God captured it, it captured both lines, not just one line. Really impressed with its ability to do this, even though it's running right beside the fire sprinkler, not in this view, but in that corridor we showed earlier. Just a very cool, kind of overlay of how that works. So to me, the accuracy has been awesome. You get stuff congested in that same area. We've got like condenser water. There's a single pipe run there, but just it's not missing anything. The AI is super powerful. Like I said, the best part for us is so it's tracked ours, but not the fire sprinkler that was there, which is the black pipe versus the copper pipe. It's just really super impressed. This job, I wouldn't call it super high density, but it's pretty dense. And we haven't had any issues with claiming something that wasn't installed, which has been awesome.
Yeah, we've been checking it weekly, looking for those errors. Have not found any yet. One thing I'll say too is this area, this back of house behind the sanctuary area, for some of our captures has been super low light, very bad capture quality. And OpenSpace track has held up through that. And I haven't seen anything be misflagged because of bad image quality yet. Really impressed this time around with OpenSpace track and what the product's becoming.
Yeah, we don't know what's under the hood. It's AI driven. Supposedly there's not an army of folks just scouring this and claiming it manually. Supposedly, now I don't know. I'm kidding, but that's what we used to do. So we used to use OpenSpace to then update a tracking tool by looking at a screen and then claiming stuff on a model. This is such an improvement over that workflow because it is 100% passive. Game changer for us. Even though the data, and we believe so, it's pulling linear footage data right now. We think long term that OpenSpace is working towards a connection between track and the model data we upload. So imagine uploading a model that told you a stick of pipe was worth 2 hours of work for the field, and then knowing that was claimed, so those 2 hours were burned. Imagine that data tie back and connecting all that. That's where we think maybe this could be going down the road. And like I said, we don't want to find that out that this is a powerful tool in 2026 and be new to this. We want to be walking jobs like it's just part of our workflow, so we're ready when the next iteration of technology comes.
I love that. And you kind of touched on this a bit, but what do you see as the ROI and the value of track?
I've got thoughts on it. Jonah, do you want to go?
It's kind of a bit of the last question on this part too, but this is something that I used to have to do. So updating these models and updating progress status used to be like a full day's worth of work for a project. And this is an example of AI actually doing our job in the BDC department behind the scenes for us. And for us, the value on the feedback for that is being able to see whether our what we're charging on the labor side, what our guys are burning in the field, that budget, if that's keeping up with the progress for rough in. It's something that you don't really, it's not like a one-to-one linear connection between what you're burning and what you're claiming in the field. You kind of have as a company, if you do it a few times, you'll be able to kind of get like a litmus test for where you should be at based off of the project constraints. But for us, it's just a tie back between, hey, we can look at this project and say you've burned 50% of your labor budget for level 1 sheet metal. And we can pull this up and quickly see, hey, if they burn 50%, they're 38% rough in here.
So yeah, we can look at the productivity chart, but look at this is in a 8-day period right here. We jumped from 38% roughed in, okay, for a sheet metal to 61%. You can then use kind of the productivity tools to start seeing on a weekly basis what was roughed in on level 2. So this was this week, this was the next week. You could then, if you're a supervision, say we've got a 4-man crew, you can know your foot per man per day or your foot per day for your crew. And then it can use those projections for tracking. We're really, I'll be honest, we're scratching the surface of how we want to use this. It's still in beta, We think once we go live, we may be able to push and leverage on this for even more metrics and data. And I think that we partner with OpenSpace to solve those things, try to work on those things. But
Yeah.
very powerful stuff. I mean, just knowing when an object's installed allows you to trigger a lot of metrics to help your team be successful.
So this question I'm about to ask could end up biting me in the butt, but are you finding that the projects with track are running much more efficiently and productive than a project that doesn't have track?
I'll be honest, hard to say, because we're like I said, we don't have good data on the ones that don't use track. So if we're not walking the job, we're not seeing this metric. Our supervision is giving you I think we did about 500 linear foot this week. I know what I need per day. We're going to wrap it up in 2 weeks. They're doing the exercise you're looking at on the screen, but are they doing it in a way where the whole team can see it? Are they doing it in a way where we know the data is more concrete and more gut feeling? Probably not. Yeah, to me, and to me, this is the best part of this is just we get the data in a passive way that doesn't impact them. It doesn't impact VDC, but we're seeing what's happening. We're seeing when it's happening, which is just like our average install per week right here, 223 per week for ductwork out of the total we have to finish the job up. So just this data is to me, it's awesome. And I think it's only going to get better and sharper as OpenSpace invests more in this and works with people like us to help meet our needs.
Yeah, I love it. Guys, this has been awesome. I'm glad we got everybody here. Got Cole here. Anything else you guys want to say before we hop off?
No, this was just really fun. This has come full circle. Man. We've worked with OpenSpace for a while now, and specifically with you, Josh and Cole. And so this was a really fun opportunity. We have these conversations pretty regularly with people in the industry. This was really fun to get in here and talk about it in this type of venue.
Yeah, no, it really was fun. And I like I said in the beginning, love working with you guys because you're just exploring technology and like figuring out what works and doesn't work. And you've been extremely helpful to us and our team. And we're a big part of like what the audience just saw today with MEP FP track. So can't thank you enough.
I just want to say, man, what an honor to have you gentlemen. You guys know how I feel about you. Thank you so much for hopping on here, man. This is rad. I love to hear it.
I don't know about that, but we enjoyed it. It's something that we are pretty passionate about and we believe is a really powerful tool. So having this and just going off on our tangent about it was pretty easy for us.
Yeah. We got to do it again sometime.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you guys.
All right, fellas.
All right. Have a great day.
All right. Y'all too.